Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to introduce the Dean of Comedy himself, Mr. Greg Dean, everyone.
Wow, what a great crew. You've got some good side. I see a lot of familiar faces. That's kind of fun and everything. So welcome, everybody. Yep, we're going to do a bit of a Q&A. So I'm assuming you've put in some questions to Gayla.
Okay, so our first question comes from D. Jones. It's a very good question. How do I stay present and still stick to my set?
Well, the answer to that, you already have because you've been through the level 1 class. The answer really is my rehearsal process. And we have to go a little bit into that because all day long we talk from pictures, sounds, and feelings. We take what's in our head, and the only information we get into our brain, into our minds, is sensory. That's it. All of our senses that's it. So it comes in, we store it, we recall it. That's what we do. We do it all day long with picture, sound, short version, picture, sounds, and feelings. Okay. And then that translates into body language, vocal tone, and words. And that's the way that we communicate with people all day long. It's also the way that you've been funny your entire life, telling stories and making people laugh. And then comes along, I've got to do a joke. And I've got to do the words of the joke, et cetera, et cetera. So people do the wrong kind of rehearsal, which we've talked about, which is saying the words over and 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 over until they get coded into what's called the Broca area of the brain, which is responsible for speech, this speech, as well as your internal dialogue, your self-talk. And and the only way then to retrieve that is to look down to the left, talk the words to yourself, say the words, talk the words, say the words, etc. That's the best. And so what I teach people is to take their routines, their jokes, turn them into scenes, get up and actually act out all the parts so that you can just see it as like a story that really happened. You can look at it. So that's the way that you can go through your show and keep it in order and everything else, because you can see the whole show if you want to, if you set it out properly, or you see whole routine in front of you, the whole thing, and talk to the audience. You can be interrupted, doesn't matter. You want some nachos? No thanks. Look where the pictures are, pick it right back up where you were before. And you can also bring in the audience's information. That's what I call the relationship. The audience should have the way they're responding. Laughter or no laughter should come in. You should notice it. It should have an impact on you and help you then decide what you're going to do next. Do you continue with the same joke? Do you talk about it? Do you do crowd work? What do you do? So what I'm thinking is that you're still holding on to making sure your words are correct instead of attaching. I'm not taking away the words. The rehearsal process attaches them to a scene.
Right.
So you see the scene, and that prompts you to say the things you want to say. And I suspect that's what's going on, is that you're still too word oriented, which you weren't today on the open mic, but you were improvising, which means you were working from picture, sounds, and feelings.
All right, give him a round of applause.
Yes.
That's good information. Let's move on to Jasper has a very interesting question. So if you guys have taken the comedy class, or if you are familiar with Greg's technique or have his book, you may know something called a connector. A connector is the ambiguity in your setup that people can see one way or another way. So once you put it in a joke, it's called a connector. While it's in your setup, it's called an ambiguity. Anyway, Jasper's currently studying. Here's the question. He understands a connector as a word with two different meanings, but how can he find other connectors that are not word related, like physical connectors?
Okay, so first of all, you have a misunderstanding, or you misremembered, or whatever it is. That is not the definition of a connector.
Yeah, I don't think he was defining it, but he was telling you his understanding.
Okay, your understanding is wrong. A connector is one thing with two interpretations or meanings. It means that it's anything in any place. Anthony Jeselnik does the joke about, the neighbors hate my brother. The other day I opened the door, caught him masturbating. He looked at me and said, shut the door. I said, get inside. Okay. What's the connector for that? The connector for that is the location at which the brother was at. We thought he was in his bedroom. Instead, he was outside. It's a location connector. So that's what I'm saying. For me, connectors, maybe it's easier for you to think about them as connectors are really in the categories of who, what, when, where, why, how, and which. Which being usually a choice. A lot of jokes will go, I said this about him and that about him, and then of course you pick the wrong one to make it funny. So that's the first part, is to stop thinking that it's words. Words are often used as connectors, a lot, by the way, and phrases as well. Yet to look at a character is also a connector. A person can be, if you see a big hunky guy and he's kind of dumb and rude and he's going, where are the tryouts? Right? And they're going to go, oh, the football tryouts are over there. And he's like, no, I mean, the cheerleader tryouts. Oh, I did not expect that character to do that. Wow. So now you're looking at a character two different ways. We had a stereotypical expectation, and then he's a person who wants to be a cheerleader for the football team. So that's the first thing, is the mindset of starting to understand that anything can be ambiguous, which then fits into the center. When you use it to construct a joke, that's when it's a connector, because it's actually now the mechanism inside of the joke. Like with Anthony's joke, where was the brother when he was masturbating? That then you build the joke around that, or at least you now can shorten it and get it precise, and and then tell the story of that joke, which is what my belief is, kind of answering the previous question as well, which is always be telling a story.
Awesome. Good stuff. Very informative. Good. Thank you. And Jasper, that's interesting. Jasper has been in class for a while, so he's getting a lot of, we do have a definition. That's the thing about the class. We do have definitions for our terms, because everybody comes in with different ideas of what terms are and what they mean. We define our terms, and then we tell you the function of the term. So that's, the people get the definitions crisscross sometimes. So it's one definition and then one function definition. All right, we have another one from Eugene Lewis. Here we go. So Greg, Eugene is asking. I'm
always enjoy Eugene's questions, because I really never know what he's going to say.
Man, I appreciate that, Yoda. I appreciate that.
Unusual you are.
Yes.
Eugene is saying, I would like to know, what is the best way to get past the brain fog? Ooh.
Brain fog. First of all, stop smoking pot.
I don't smoke that much, Greg.
That much, okay? The answer's right there, okay? And if you are, make sure that you go to, what was his name earlier, who actually has a clinic there. So, brain fog, wow. That is, start watching TikTok. There are a lot of supplements out there, like methylene blue and NAD, NMN, and things like that are supposedly, and I do some of them to help with as I'm aging, to make sure that my mind stays clear as well. Yet that's part of it. The other thing is, again, like a broken record, it's really about my rehearsal process. The taking your material, because I've studied, I was an actor in Hollywood here for 15 years, and I made, between stand-up and acting, I did okay. I made a living, paid my bills, and did good for a very long time. And studied with a lot of great acting teachers, and all of them had a different little technique to it. They had some similarities too, which I think are always the best things to do, to study. Yet at the same time, what most of them would say was, well, when you're building the backstory for the character or who they are, or you're, remembering what you're, they're who they are, and you're building. They say use your imagination. If you need to cry, maybe take a picture from your past of somebody dying and supplement that, and then use that to cry. So use your imagination, use these things. I took all that and took it a step further with my rehearsal process. My belief is that you will remember it if you see it. You will absolutely remember it if you become it. And that is the difference of what it is that in my rehearsal process, let's say I need to say I'm having a brother with my brother David. Okay, I need to say, and I've got to say it. Okay, I'm going to walk over there a little ways in front of me, always so that I can face the audience, and I'm going to act out me over there having a beer with my brother David, and say the words, I'm having a beer with my brother David. Drink it, hear it cold, see the mist on the outside, etc. Oh, that's a beer. That's really good. Then I'm going to come to my brother David. Yeah, hey, Greg, you're having a beer with me, your brother David. We're having a beer.
Right.
Yeah, beer. Oh, good. Now, I've acted myself and him out over there. I don't need to memorize those words. All I have to do is look at that and go, oh, hey, I'm having a beer with my brother David. Now, let's say I don't like my brother David. I'll look at that picture and go, yeah, so I'm having a beer with my brother David. Oh, now the picture is what I call generating behaviors. Autonomically. You're just reacting to it instead of pretending or piling an emotion on top of it because somebody said, oh, you're supposed to be emotional and opinionated. You are, but it needs to be honest. And so pictures, sounds, and feelings will generate our behaviors like I'm doing right now. I'm trying to communicate them out to you. It will generate those behaviors, and it will give you the language because that's what we practice doing all the time. If we're trying to remember what we're supposed to say, I just, as an audience member for stand-up comedy, I never find it particularly interesting or funny to watch a comedian remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, all right, good answer. Yeah, that was Greg Dean. That's a good answer. Good job. So this next question comes from a comedian that has a question about style and building his career. So it's from our cachet line. Anyway, do audiences, when you're performing, or is it better to create your career around quick jokes like one-liners or storyline jokes, or do audiences prefer long setups that build tension?
Yes.
Right to the point.
And there's no answer to that. First of all, start with your sense of humor. Always start with your, first of all, I'm always saying, don't listen to anybody else. What do you like? If you like one-liners, you do one-liners. You want to tell stories, you tell stories. You want to do observations, you do observations. You want to do political pieces or opinion pieces about things, then you do that because you want to. That's the first place. This is your show. This is your art. Please yourself first. Okay. Please an audience second. Get up. Do what you want. Now, there are certain things that work a little better for this or for that. In other words, for late night television shows and stuff like that, one-liner jokes work best. That's what made Rodney Dangerfield and Stephen Wright, some of those other people, et cetera, so good on late night shows. They do those one-liners. They work fantastic. Yet it's better on like the afternoon talk shows where you have a little bit more time to talk to really, then you can tell a story that's very funny, okay? If you're doing a special, you can get away with stories. But my personal belief is, Jerry Seinfeld is right, is that the audience is still, no matter what you're doing, is still going to judge you every 15 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
I push my advanced students to have 5 laughs per minute, and they get it. And the only way to really do that is set up, punch, tag, 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 or do an act out where you're doing, set up, punch, tag, tag, set up, punch. You're giving it to different points of view inside of a story. So watch Jim Gaffigan. He's great at that and defining things and playing out different parts all the time, etc. And he's very clean, so he doesn't have to. So, but if you want to do like Dennis Miller used to do, a rant of an opinion piece, absolutely. You do. Please yourself first, because this is always about your sense of humor. So when it comes, that's why we don't teach opinions. I let anybody pretty much do whatever they want to in my classes, short of murder, pedophilia, and rape from the point of view of the predator. But I've had all those subject matters from the point of view of the victims.
Right, that's raw.
Right. So, but I've had crazy stuff. Sonia's working on her anus piece.
Sonia.
And so that's, I've had the people come in and pitch other things that are even further out there. And they did them. I believe that Andy Kaufman and Sam Kinison could have developed in my classroom, because I would have let them do that outrageous stuff. And I, would have encouraged Sam to scream at the audience. Because it's what they wanted to do. It hasn't, that's where it starts. Trust yourself. And then write everything you think is funny, and then there's no substitution for stage time, everybody. None. The question is, and that's what I offer and my classes offer, is, are you on stage overcoming your fear and doing all that work? Are you practicing good technique, or just getting better at bad technique? And my suggestion is get up there and get all that stage time with really excellent technique, and that's how to get really good quickly.
Yeah, that's really great. That was fantastic.
Yes, it was.
I even like
Take that.
Yeah, Tony is doing something completely different, and he's hilarious. And
yeah, Tony works on our class all the time. He comes in and we'll end the class just like he does here, and because it's what he wants to do. It's not about Greg.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's not about my sense of humor. It's about letting him have the reign, and then help him, guide him to make sure there's joke structure in it, et cetera, in the things he's doing. So
what's really amazing about Tony is that before he starts his set, he takes one deep breath of air, and he never breathes again until it's over. So that's what I find very interesting.
And that's why I come online and get some information from you guys. Got to. It's nice.
Yeah.
So this next question is kind of interesting too. The Hollywood is changing. There's evidence of networks leaving and going to other places. How would that affect stand-up comics or the voice of stand-up comedians? Do you have any take on that?
Well, I think the biggest things, how will things change? Things are always changing. That's the only real truth in the universe, is that things always change. So adapt. So what are some of the things? Yeah, people are starting to leave Hollywood and go to other places. AI is coming in and replacing things and going to. The question is, where do you fit? That's kind of an interesting thing, because I personally think that there's more opportunities really for comedians, or let me say comedians, people who know how to write a joke, a funny joke, or tell a funny story, and do it consistently. You could be a comedian. Most sitcoms, some sitcoms are around them, but most of the writers are former stand-up comedians. The writers for Late Night, which are comedians. Most of the writers are former comedians. Now it's talk show hosts are comedians, and the writing behind it is oftentimes done by comedians, because the comedians bring in their friends to do. So there's really more opportunities for comedians than any other, I think, group of talented people in more jobs in Hollywood than any other group. Right. So we're at an advantage there. Yet at the same time, AI is coming in. Are you using AI? Are you figuring out a way to get your comedy? Are you developing one of those avatars for yourself so you can write your jokes and put it up and people know it's an avatar and so on and so forth? So I cloned my voice. Now I don't have to read all of the things that I put up from my voice. It's the computer with my voice. I gave it 3 hours of me, and so it's cloned my voice very, very nicely. So the question is, how, instead of fighting everything, the other thing, there's one more thing really important.
Okay.
Is with this is crowd work I think is having a bigger effect on stand-up comedy than necessarily Hollywood per se. You can't keep up today if you can't do crowd work, because the internet burns material so quickly. You go up and do it a couple times, it goes out there to all these different places. Especially if you get some kind of a streaming or network opportunity. Wow, that's gone. So, I still need to perform, and crowd work can fill in a lot of that time, which is the reason I started a crowd work class. It's on Thursdays at noon Pacific time.
Yep.
We're pretty full right now. I mean, we can, use one or two more, but it's shocking how many techniques you really need to know to do good. Oh, Karin, you here? I can't see everybody.
Yeah, he's still here.
Hi,
Karin.
Yeah,
unmute. You're in the class. How's the class?
Yeah, I just posted in the chat. It's fantastic. It's kind of unbelievable, like you said, how many actual techniques there are, because it just feels like going up and riffing. But like Greg's been teaching us like a dozen different techniques at least. That's really great.
Yeah, and again, when you're doing something, you can practice bad technique, or you can practice good technique that leads to clear communication, as well as doing the little tricks that lead you toward the jokes.
Right.
So that's part of what we do. Is it helps you not just get, and online there's not that pressure of the audience has got to, I got to get them to laugh. I make it a very comfortable situation. Say, hey, relax, work on the techniques, because when you work on the techniques and you nail the technique and you're being creative with it, we're all laughing really, really hard, and that's really, really good. And when we're not, we can sit and chat and talk about it in a very, in a comfortable way. So we can say, oh, let's work on this technique instead. So there we go.
That's awesome. We're going to throw Daniel's question in there. What is the easiest way to edit a type 5 down to a type 3?
It's so simple. Cut out 2.
There it is.
Wow. It depends upon the set or the bit and stuff. With you, I think I would give you because I've seen what you're working on, and I think I said this to you the other night, which was go with the best of the best. But you kind of got to go. Oh, these are the best jokes, and I've got to now figure out how to get from one to the next to the next to the next to the next. That is what I think is. It's more edit. It's more like condense. Because I think of a good show, a story, a bit of any kind, routine, as like a clothes rack, okay? And you're hanging jokes on it. And at some point, like I've got too many things for this 5-minute thing. You got to start pulling them off and putting other ones and pulling them off and going, oh, which are the best? And the only way to figure that out is, and that's why we put you in a corner and say, you've got a time limit. Put you in that corner and say, now you have to make that decision. I can't make that decision for you. I know how to make it because I've been doing it for so long, but you have to learn. That's part of the working process of becoming a comedian, to go, oh, I've got a time limit. I have to make a decision about what's in and what's not in, and it hurts because they're like your children. Even if they're bad, you hold them close. And they cause you suffering, okay? And so you just have to suck it up and go, oh, all right. Some of these have just got to go. They've got to go. Which are the best? And I'm going to go from those, and then to start to see how it kind of works as a story of, as I remember, if you're going to do it, the story about a guy who was like a motivational speaker of some kind for the anus.
On that note, good job. It was just, there's another technique Greg teaches is really valuable. It's about the BCA, where you grade your own jokes. And if you have a 5-minute set and it's set up in a BCA format, and you got to take it down to 3, just do A game. You just do A game, and you end with the funniest A. You don't play with any C's, any B's, because you're usually probably using that set to submit to festivals and such. So just never give them anything that's not A and sharp and ready to go. I love that you talked about audience relationship, because we have a couple of questions that deal with bombing, and we all do it. It's you have to do it. When you're bombing and your nervous system crumbles, how do you stay up there and keep your butthole from clenching? You know who that comes from. So this is from Sonia. She goes, how to work with bombing if your nervous system is just crumbling and you get self-conscious and you kind of want to shut down, but you can't. There you go. Bombing on that one.
Yeah, that's really, really important. First thing is, I believe when you're on stage in total honesty.
Yes.
Okay. And it's a hard thing to do because it's incredibly vulnerable, because now you're really letting people know who you really are. To say, oh, I'm not getting the laughs. You've just crushed my soul. And start talking about it. Oh my God! I've got a whole bunch of napkins at home. I'm going to fill up with my tears. And just be honest about how. Oh, it's cry. I don't know how. And the audience usually relates to that. They'll go, "Wow, I would be scared up there too." And then try to make fun of it. Make fun of yourself. Gosh, here I want to be a comedian. I can't even get up here and without telling a joke and freak out. And the audience is now going to be with you. They're pulling for you now, because you're not hiding anything. Mm-hmm. They know, they can see, oh, something's wrong. Okay. And the only way they're going to know what's wrong is for you to tell them, because it's inside of you. Here's one of my little phrases that I use all the time. The audience will always trust you as long as they know that you know what's going on in the show.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You follow? Okay.
Yep.
Then how do they know? You kind of go, oh, that joke didn't work. The blender went off during that joke, messed up that one. Okay. Wow. I'm terrified right now. I mean, I saw Richard Pryor when he came back from when he was burnt, got up and said, I'm scared. I haven't done this in a long time. I'm afraid you guys aren't going to laugh, man. I'm really scared. And I thought, wow, Richard Pryor can do that? If Richard Pryor can do that, why can't we do that? Say what's really going on inside of you. I'm terrified, because this is terrifying, and get it out of the way, because then you start going, I'm terrified. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't know. Let all that just come out of your mouth. Stop suppressing that and stop using that editor. Just let those things come out of your mouth. And I find usually the audience laughs at that. That kind of resets the moment, and you can try to build again and go and say, okay, let me try this then, et cetera, et cetera. There's no guarantee, but I got to tell you, the audience really stays with you, and they pull for you to be funny and to pull this off, especially when you've been very, very vulnerable and very honest and very real.
D. Jones had a comment about a comedian named Shane Gillis.
He's a pretty well-known comedian, but I thought he had good jokes, but the audience was just like dead silent, and he just kept calling it out and going through his material and didn't apologize. Like Greg was saying, does that just come with time?
Yes, and there's also a part to this too, which is if all that you have in your basket is a series of jokes you're going to deliver. Mm-hmm. Okay. And those jokes are not working. They are not sufficient for that particular crowd that's in front of you.
Right.
you end up saying, well, you'll get this one later. Well, these are the jokes, folks. And not apologize, just keep going. And because when that's all you've got, that's all you've got. So you just keep going. This is the reason in a safe environment of my classes is the when people aren't their planned show, let's call it, isn't working. My belief is if what you're doing isn't working, do something else. Do something. Now, that might not work too. But now at least you know two things to avoid.
Yeah, it's like the Edison philosophy.
So I'm saying, you've got a show, and that show isn't sufficient for this audience. You try to adjust it, you do it faster, slower, you kind of do it, so on and so forth. And that's why I train people at least a little bit in my classes. They're more thoroughly in the Thursday night ongoing crowd work class. This is what I'm doing isn't working. Hi, what's your name? What do you do? And change the energy about it. See, that's why you have to have more than just one set of skills, I think.
Right.
If all you have is a show, what do you do when that what you brought to the table isn't sufficient for the audience that's in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. It may have killed them tons of times before, but that's not the point. That's not relevant to this audience. This audience wants you to find their funny bone, because you have different audiences. Generally 4 kinds of audiences that I found. One is ones that laugh at jokes, but they don't want any interaction. They don't want any improv. They just want jokes. And then another one, they don't want jokes. They just want interaction. There's the ones that want everything. They don't care. They're having a great time. And then there's the ones that don't want anything. At least coming from me, it's like, what do I do? You keep trying. Well, my belief is try a whole bunch of different things. That's why you want to have more skills as you become a comedian, and that's why you need a safe place to be bad. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. Over and over and over again until you get good at it. And that's the point of a safe place like a workshop. Come in and I give people techniques all the time and help them work on them. And then they go out into the clubs and they continue. Now see them a year or two later, and they're amazing with those skills. They started out in the class not knowing what that was. Oh, let me give you one. Anthony Jeselnik.
Mm-hmm.
He had no idea what a joke was when he came to me. I taught joke structure, and I taught him several ways of going, and taught him on later as time went. He used to, in my classes, he told stories. Okay, and later he found one-liners and he went, that's what I like, I'm going to do that. That is the choice he made. When he started, he had no idea what a joke was. Okay, that's the point of the 5 mechanisms that are between the setup and the punch. Setup and punch is not joke structure. That's just the way we express one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
That's the format for one-liners.
Right.
So I'm saying learn some stuff. Watch some comedian go, look at that. Look at what that person did. And then steal the technique. Don't steal the jokes, steal the technique. Right. And then practice it, amongst your friends. Maybe get a little group together in your area and get up once a week and try some stuff that you're terrible at over and over and over again. Then start putting them up in front of a real crowd, start getting laughs with it. Because in my world, and the last thing I want to say, and I think it's really important, in my world, the craft of comedy I have now reduced to a series of knowable and teachable skills. Now, skills implies you can learn it, you can practice it, and you can master it and get better and better and better and better and better at that skill. But you got to have a teacher that knows enough how to take the techniques, turn them into exercises so that you can develop the skill. Now I say, apply that skill to your sense of humor.
Right.
Don't listen to anybody else. Apply it to your sense of humor your way. One of my favorite things is to go out and see somebody take one of my skills and do something with it that I never even thought of. Oh my God, they've gone past me. And I'm smart enough to go, let me write that down and teach it.
Right. Right.
That's what I do.
On that note, that's fantastic. Yeah, there's it's interesting that there are people out there that don't take classes and they're embarking on this terrifying venture. I mean, stand-up comedy, and Greg says this in his classes, stand-up comedy is the scariest form of live performance art, the scariest form, because there's no fourth wall and people can talk back to you, toss things, and come up on stage and slap you. That is the scariest form of live performing art. Then Greg also says crowd work and riffing is the scariest thing within that form of art, because you can't control what they're going to say back to you. So it's interesting, people take that kind of vocation on and don't get training. It's like, I'm just gonna wing it. And so that's okay too.
Just to say that in my mind, I think of my classes as a trade school. I mean, my classes are a trade school. If you take the level 1 classes, we're going to teach you joke structure, 5 ways of writing jokes. We're going to give you the 3 POVs so you understand storytelling and then joke structure and storytelling. Then we're going to teach us a rehearsal process. So you take your material, turn it into scenes so you can see it and communicate and picture sounds and feelings and tell even one-liners as a story. So you're always telling a story, which is the oldest form of communication human beings have, right? And then we get in the advanced class and then we build a show and go to the Hollywood Improv. Now, we build that show, I'm not saying all of them are perfect but the idea is now you're taking the skills from level 1 and you're working on these things to build a show, go out and test it. Build another show, go out and test it. And then pretty soon you've got material. Now you're out doing, and my students, a lot of them pass up open mics. Why? Because they have a show. The point of open mics is to go and develop material so you can have a show. And we do that in my classes. People have 10, 15, 30 minutes of material and they go out and do shows all the time. And maybe the good open mics, because those can be good shows. It matters who's running it and whether they make everybody listen and pay attention and be respectful. That can be really, really good. Okay, but they have shows. And when other comedians see you have a show and you're working at 5+ laughs per minute and you're present, which is the relationship. You're present. They know that you're listening to the audience and taking it in and adjusting. If you get in trouble, you do a little crowd work. They kind of go, wow, I got a show over here. You want to come and do it? Then all of a sudden, a bunch of shows, smaller shows, rooms pop open all over Southern California that you never heard of. Okay? And so that's what can happen. Now, then in my advanced class, then we can, if you stay with me for a while and you've developed 15, 20 minutes worth of material, then we work on specialties. One of the specialties in the class, just for the class itself, is crowd work. Now we then tie that, then if the person's going to stay with me, then I teach them MC, how to be an MC. You want to fast track your career? Become an MC. You get more stage time as an MC than any other comedian will get it, but you got to do it good. You go and watch these open mics and shows, a small show. The MCs are less than good. Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys know, you've been out there, you see them. It's awful. It's terrible. They're self-indulgent and they're saying the most awful things because they're trying. Now, so you find the ones that you want to do, and then I teach you how to be a really, really good MC and how to handle it. And the first thing I teach you is that you're the frame. You're not the picture.
Thank you, Sonia. You've been very patient. She has a question about shows, especially the infamous Bringer show that we all know and love.
Yeah.
So, comedians are just trying to find their own voice, let alone try to open up and, invite people and re-invite people that have seen your show already. How do you you have any tips on getting people to come to the shows over time, especially, when they've come before?
Yes, offer them drugs. Just seems to me to be a good idea. Buy them lots of drinks when they get there. So, somewhat serious answer to this is a big thing. First of all, if you're going to do bringer shows, make sure they're bringer shows that are worth doing. In other words, they're going to be a good show. A lot of bringer shows, the people that are in it are just awful. The show is awful, and your friends don't want to. It's not that they won't support you again. They don't want to have to go and sit through 2 hours of hell, you know? Right? I mean, it can be that terrible for audience members and stuff. And they're like, oh, God, I want to come and support you. If I could just come in for 5 minutes and watch you and leave, even if I saw it before, I'd come and do it. But that doesn't help the overall show. So, first of all, be picky about where you bring people. Make sure it's a bringer show that's worth doing. Okay, and that takes some research. Talk to other comedians. Do your research in advance so that you're picking a show and inviting your friends and relatives to a show that the show itself will be good. Okay. Our showcases are, for all intents and purposes, a bringer show. The students have to bring, but there's no punishment for not. If you don't, then, you're not supporting your own career and you're not learning how to bring people. That's part of it, is learning how to bring people. And that's why a lot of people work on new material each new session, or at least part of it is new material. So their friends come and see them. They're doing 3-4 minutes worth of new material, maybe a minute of some of the other stuff from before. And so each time they come, they're seeing new material. And that's that is part of the value of a workshop. It sounds like I'm here to push workshops, and I'm not. That was not my intent in the first place. I'm just saying, that's the answer. I mean, if you can sit and continuously build material without the help of a dozen other people like we do in our classes, because everybody pitches jokes, and we do a thing called solution feedback. We don't have criticism. We help them fix the jokes that they've got and tag the jokes that they've got, and give them more ideas to expand routines. That's what we do. And when you've got a dozen people all helping you with your show, those shows get written really, really very quickly because you're working collaboratively. So that's the one thing. If you want to have more material for each time they come back, make sure that you're working in some way collaboratively with your own group or with our classes. Absolutely. So they can come back and see something new every time. And then you have to build the trust with those people and make sure that when they come to the show, they have a good time at the show. And if you can do that, your friends will support you for a very long period of time.
Absolutely. There's something we also teach in our classes is expand your circle. Go support other comedian shows. Show up for them. They show up for you. Expand your circle. There may be other things you're interested in, like going to screenings of shorts and things like TV and films. Go meet those people. Tell them you're a comedian. Invite them to the shows. Whatever you're into, your yoga class, whatever you're into. Always expand your circle and keep adding people. Keep adding people to the list of people that go, oh, I would like to come see your show. People say that all the time, and then we don't follow up. It's like, you said you want to come. So keep expanding your circle. You can do the other things that Greg said as well. I started out that way, bringer. And some of the same people kept coming before I decided that I didn't want to expand because I don't like people. So
exactly.
I just had my circle, sociable. So I said, listen, come, because I'll save you a seat. I'm going to save you a really good seat. And I got you. And, I'll pay your parking, buy your drink. And you know what? I'll personalize it. What do you want me to talk about? Give me one subject. I'll add it to the show or whatever, just to give them something, for coming. But yeah, definitely expand your circle. Bottom line, we start off this business right away. Greg says this as well, that you are a commodity. You are the product. So you should be thinking about marketing anyway.
Marketing yourself.
That you are the person to promote and start getting into what that means and take it seriously so that the bringer show stage of things doesn't just discourage you too much, because you got to do it anyway as a performer. We have another question. You already talked about some of the comedians that you like. You mentioned Jim Gaffigan, Dennis Miller, Andy Kaufman, Sam Kinison. What other comedians do you think are worth looking at, and you'd recommend us to watch to kind of get down the idea of the succinct jokes and the succinct storytelling techniques that that kind of reflect your technique?
Who I would recommend, I really like Jimmy Carr. First of all, I know he read my book at least, and so on and so forth, because he's actually on television talked about, oh, jokes are two different stories, and so on and so forth. So, and he's very succinct. He does everything. And I also like him because he doesn't have segues. Yeah, there's no reason for all that extra, what I call rationalizations. He'll just start talking about something out of nowhere just because he's thinking about it. And you have to understand, a lot of people, I have to have segues, I got to rationalize, write all these reasons that I'm going to talk about it and where I got the idea. Oh my God, you want to slow down a show? Put in all those rationalizations. No, get right to the joke. Patton Oswalt, wonderful storyteller. There's a guy named Jay Larson. He's particular got, watch his show. It's a great story called Sounds Like Bruce. Watch that. That is such a funny story, and how he builds that story. Not seen few that were better at that. Let's see, who else do I like? I like Nikki Glazer. I like Whitney Cummings. Ellen DeGeneres when she was performing a lot. Of course, Whoopi, who was one of my students as well. Sherry Shepard, who was one of my students as well. Anthony's always good to watch him, study his jokes, look at them. He is so good.
But Mike Birbiglia.
Oh yeah, of course. I love his, and he does great crowd work too. He's got great material, and he works.
Bargatze also.
Who?
Nate Bargatze.
Bargatze.
Yeah,
I believe. Yes. No, he's great as well because he's family friendly.
Yeah.
Him and Jim Gaffigan, watch their joke structure. Sit down and go, look at this. Look how he constructs the jokes. They're just so little simple things because he reframes them. I'm holding my child, and my child, he punches me, Or one of my favorite was I ran, he was on the beach and ran into a crab, and said the crab started behaving, and he goes back and forth, behaving like somebody they owed money to. And I just laughed myself silly because he got that observation so perfect, and then acted it out and did that feeling that you own. So watch the way they construct jokes with the metaphors and act outs and all the other things that we tell you. Louis C.K., I always loved him. I'm sorry about his problems that he had and stuff. Chris Rock, of course, watch his shows because he constructs. There's nobody better at joke construction than him. And there's a really good, it's called, I think it's called Talking Funny. Talking Funny. It's on HBO. You can find it online. It's with Ricky Gervais, who I also now really like, even though I always considered him more of an actor that did comedy. But he's gotten closer and closer to an actual comedian as time goes on. Ricky Gervais, Jerry Seinfeld, another one great to watch. Chris Rock, and Louis C.K. And the four of them talk about their comedy careers and how they go about doing certain things, and it's a fascinating watch. Go and watch that, because first of all, I define premise. They talked about premises, and I define a premise as a subject, a negative opinion about a subject. Okay, which is, what are you going to talk about? What's your position? That's what a premise is. And people have all kinds of other definitions. That's my definition. And they start talking about that. They'll sit around and go, oh, I was doing this, and that was my, that was my my premise. Oh, you look at it and go, oh, he was talking about a subject and his negative opinion about it. And then the jokes flowed from that premise, just like the model that I teach in my level 1 class about the 4 principles of performing comedy. That's one of them, which is make sure that you've got a good, clear premise and the jokes flow from that premise.
Greg said to watch some of these comics, watch Talking Funny. There's a lot of information he gave. If you ever go to, Google Greg Dean Comedy, there's a lot of free advice, free information, free techniques, free things that he shows. There's
watch some of my videos on Greg Dean Comedy YouTube. I've got over 200.
Can you give the information about your crowd work class? When is it? How much is it?
It's $199 every 4 weeks. It's ongoing, and it's on the Thursday nights. Thursday days, actually, from noon to 2 on Thursdays, noon Pacific time.
And you don't have to have taken classes with Greg.
And you don't have to have any experience. We take you we give you some very, very basic fundamentals, and then the longer you're with me, the more I keep introducing more and more advanced techniques to work on. And again, then afterwards we talk about what they did, where they worked on things, where they kind of missed it, how they could have used a technique, etc. Again, it's always solution feedback, because the way I break it down is that the answers you get from people, if you're listening, will give you the cue for the technique you're going to use. If somebody says, "Oh, my boss hates me, he's always yelling at me." Oh, well, then that gives you a cue that you can now speak for that boss. And we do that in the class. I'll go, "Now speak for the boss." And that person becomes yeah, you're really bad at what you did, blah, blah. Or even do a whole scene back and forth between him and his boss. The comedian's doing it for him. You're talking about Mike Birbiglia. I saw one of his pieces where he asked somebody if he was ever arrested, and he went and talked to the guy, and he ends up acting out the guy being arrested by a woman cop. It was so funny, going, "I'm being arrested, and it was a woman cop, with a badge and everything, and I said to her, 'Cook me dinner,'" Well, it's hilarious. Well, it's hilarious. I mean, so watch him. He actually does. He talks for the participant as well as other people in the scene that is brought up. I mean, techniques like that people don't think about. There's a lot of them in crowd work, and once you get loosened up, start, and if you're bad at something, that's the first thing I go after. Not the first thing. At first, I just get you comfortable, and then I start going, "Oh, you're not good at speaking for other people, so now speak for that person." They're like, they stumble over it. Okay, cool. We go, "Oh yeah, I stumbled over it. We'll do that again next week, and the next week, and the next week." And 2 or 3 weeks later, the person's just buzzing. "Oh, speak for that person." They do a whole bit. Oh, again, if it's broken down to skills, you practice a skill, you just get better at it, and you're applying it to your own sense of humor, not mine. That's nice. What we do.
Woo! And we have hyperlinks in chat that you guys can jump in and look at it if you want and everything. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this again next week.
All right, so I'm gonna take off.
Let's hear it for Greg.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Everybody,
Appreciate
thank you.
Thank you,
and I always enjoy doing this, and keep coming back and being around. Thank you, guys.